Well, and I think the big thing too is I think as the person in charge of the leadership programs, I think it's lost on people how much each class impacted me. Everybody thinks like, well, I'm running the program. And so my job is to impact you guys. And absolutely that's important. But each class had such an impact on me. And I feel like made me a better person in a different way that it is kind of cool to look across social media. And when I run into people back home and just see the amazing things that people are doing. Like, it does make me feel like a proud little mom to be like,
I mean, you
you
should. I
know,
mean, it's legit.
yeah,
I
like,
mean, we made the nickname in jest, but it's pretty true, right? Like at the
yeah,
end of the day, you were kind of like you were mom because we were out of hand to some
you guys
degree.
needed
Yeah,
guidance.
we needed
Yeah,
guidance. Some days more
yeah.
than others.
It's some good memories. Yeah.
Few things connect people faster than food. For me, it's the stories of the people behind the food that hit deepest. Their family legacies, how they made it through the tough times, and how they celebrate the good times. I am Ryan Armstrong, and this podcast will give you a face behind your food. It uncovers the honest and proud stories of the fascinating yet little known sectors of the agriculture industry. Welcome to Farmstrong. We have Michele Curts with us here today, the one, the only, the legendary. So Michele and I, she was the director or coordinator? Coordinator?
Leadership programs coordinator,
Coordinator, yep.
queen of everything. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I said. Yeah, so we met in the Young Farmers and Ranchers program, and I just want to lay this right out there off the jump that I give you a ton of credit for this even happening because you got to see me when I came in there and I was a shell of the person I am now. So big kudos to you. But yeah, let's just kind of jump into it and give us your history in Florida agriculture from this is not right in Plant City, is it? Surrounding?
It's, yeah, just outside in the community of Dover.
Dover. I was gonna say
So
Doreen.
it's, yeah. Dover is like the true winter strawberry capital of the world, but Plant City gets the credit, but that's a different story.
I knew that's where that was gonna go. It's like, that's
Yes,
why I didn't
that's
wanna say the wrong place because y'all
exactly.
take it. Alright.
Yeah, I grew up in the heart of strawberry country on a strawberry farm and just from day one fell in love. Like knew I wanted to go into farming. That's where I wanted to be. Life doesn't always work out that way. Farming is expensive when you don't have it to start with. So, kind of ventured into the cattle side in college and just, all things agriculture. Pursued cattle all the way through to becoming Florida Cattle Women's president and getting to represent the industry and continued my master's with ag leadership. And then that brought me to Farm Bureau and meeting you and your entire team. That kind of,
That's
yeah,
sweet,
that
baby.
y'all's class definitely left an impact. We'll say that. It is.
So did you do FFA when you were growing
I
up?
did. Yep. Did it in middle school and high school. First thing I ever showed was a chicken. My ag teacher gave me a baby chick and I took it home and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And branched into chickens for a little while and then moved on to pigs for several years. Mom was missing those chickens at that point, and then we moved into the big leagues and started showing cattle. So, yeah.
Never been there. Heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, those y'all that's a ruthless realm. That is
Really is. Learned a lot. But it was great. I mean, as a high schooler, like I got to travel the Southeast showing and meeting people and just, opportunities that you would never think of. So it was definitely a game changer on my passion for agriculture.
and so what were you doing before you went to Farm Bureau?
When I graduated from UF, I took a teaching job in the Panhandle. So I taught high school
Oh, that's
agriculture.
right. Okay.
Yes. Moved out to, Chipley, 6 hours from my hometown.
You went
Didn't
back
know
in
a
time, Michele.
soul. Yes, I literally gained an hour, like, crossed the river, gained an hour, went back 10 years. I was the first female ag teacher they had ever had. And I remember on my first day of school, there was a male student in one of my classes, and he was like, "Can she even drive a tractor?" And again, without thinking, like Smart Aleck came out and I just spun around and I was like, "I can drive a tractor in circles around you, young man." And I was like, that probably wasn't the best response as a
Hey,
teacher,
let them
but
know. Let them know.
Yeah, you gotta hit them hard. Yeah, so did that for 4 years, which was, in hindsight, super cool because I left with the kids that I had as freshmen my first year, so, like, they graduated as seniors, and then I left and went back to grad school at Florida, so that was such a unique opportunity to go from being an FFA student to then being kind of on the teacher side of things and helping kids explore new opportunities, so it was definitely a worthwhile adventure.
How many classes did you oversee at
Gosh.
YF&R? Was it 5?
Let's see. I was there for 8 years, so every 2 well, we took a year off, so yeah, I would say 5 classes, yeah, I know. Which is hard to think about because it's like, sometimes I don't remember exactly who all was in one class together. I know that I had them at some point, but I don't remember, like, every member of every class without having to go back and look at the pictures and things like that, so, yeah, crazy ride.
Which class was your favorite?
There's no such thing. They all had they all had great and memorable experiences. They all came with their own set of challenges. No class was the same, which was entertaining. I feel like every class I learned something new. But yeah, they were wild ride, wild ride.
Like a handful of fireworks. That's how
Yeah,
I can describe it.
really is. And
Yeah.
like some of them explode in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
What would be your favorite memory from your time there? If you have one, or if there's more
At
than one.
Farm Bureau.
Yeah, in the YF&R program.
I think one of my favorite memories collectively is seeing the growth. Like you talked about when you started, the person you were coming in, such a different person than who you were coming out of it. Like, think of the friendships, the relationships that you built, and the skills that you had. I'm pretty sure I remember first day, like, you spoke 3 words the
Can
entire
we
time.
can we
And
talk
then
about go
you,
ahead.
you walk out as class president. Like, who
Yeah.
would have ever suspected, Just
Yeah,
big
that's what I was gonna say.
milestone.
So I remember this vividly, and I think about it pretty often. I think it was the first or second day. Anyway, so the first time we had met together, right? And we were doing elections. Anyway, somebody told me to do it, and remember, like you weren't mad, but you were like, "Why would you not vote for yourself?" And I was like, "Oh, man, I'm in a rough spot." Like, what?
Since I was like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean
But
you
that's
didn't
how much
vote for
I didn't believe
yourself?
in myself. I was like, "There's no way
Yeah.
I can do that."
Yeah. No,
Like,
and look at you, like, you did. I mean, you made huge milestones and then had a huge impact on the next class. Like, that was pretty awesome to watch.
yeah. Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
mean, like, seriously, it was a team effort.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It took us a lot to get you there.
Dude, I walked right into that one.
So true.
Yeah. But no, seriously, I was president for 4 years, wasn't I?
Yeah, because you wound up running into the COVID era.
Yeah.
So y'all's class got extended to 3 years because of how much you guys had really missed during 2020. Yeah, so y'all were my longest running class.
Hanging around.
Yeah. I didn't know if I'd ever get rid of y'all. Like,
Yeah.
kinda thought y'all had moved in.
But no, seriously, the backstory behind that is wild.
Yeah.
We could do a whole podcast just on that from the time
Yeah.
that, like,
Yeah,
COVID
because I
started.
don't think people know how much went into really not just the planning, but, like, the assessing of the fact that, like, how much you guys had missed in 2020 was really gonna impact your development and what you were gonna get out of the program, and so, it was definitely not an easy decision for us to, agree to extend it because it impacted a lot of things. It impacted the next group of people who were close on age, and, like, that was a big moment.
We thought we were toast. We thought
Yeah,
the whole thing was done.
yeah, that's fair.
Straight doomsday. Straight doomsday.
Yes, it was over.
But all that being said, on top of that, the whole world changed.
Yeah,
And then agriculture changed.
it really did.
So wild, like really, really rapidly.
Yeah. I mean, the way that things are marketed now, I think out of COVID, there was such an emphasis of direct to consumer. Like you saw a huge increase of people going directly to the farms to pick up their produce boxes or to pick things from the farm because they not only wanted to get out of the house, they couldn't get to the grocery stores. And so I think out of that, like we saw a huge amount of positivity for agriculture and connecting directly with consumers. that you couldn't have made up in 10 years through marketing. That was just one of those happy accidents that came out of such a tough situation. It really did change agriculture.
Sitting here thinking about that, and one thing I remember, like, looking back at it now was, man, did we love to fight with each other. Oh my gosh. Woo! We were wake up in the morning ready to push somebody's butt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. It's just, it's too much free time on people's hands. That's what happens.
I guess, but I mean, looking back at it, I really think it was part of like what made that we made so much progress is we were constantly just everybody had their foot on the pedal all the way.
Yeah. Which is good because it challenged you guys. You guys as a team really pushed past the boundaries of we're just going to be in a program and we're going to follow the rules. Like you really pushed it to be better. You raised the expectations. I think you guys put in so much work. It was easy to say, like, we want to do bigger and better for the next classes that come next because this class cares so much. And I think that was just such a game changer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I said it when Jared and I were in front of that class that came after us when we came in and visited them, but I know that we said it when we were at the table because they were asking us questions about, kind of what we were just talking about. What made you guys function? Like, how were you able to kind of move the needle?
Mhm.
And the way I explained it to him was we'd fight like cats and dogs, but if somebody came in that room and started picking on one of us,
Yeah.
we would all turn and look at you and you are now the enemy.
Yeah.
Like it was like we would be in there fighting with each other, but don't come in there and pick on anybody because we're gonna
No.
yeah, we were a true team.
You were, and you guys became like such a family. I mean, that's such a family thing to happen, like with siblings. Like, I can pick on my little sibling any day of the week. You try that, and it's game over. And that was such a unique thing to see the bond that you all built really kind of change just the relationships of the program.
What a journey that was.
I know. Looking back on that, do you think there's anything if you could have, you would have changed? No. Yeah. I think one of my favorite things to see out of that is the relationships that you guys still have. Talking earlier about some of your teammates that you're still in contact with. Like, I just think that's the underlying goal of that program is to really foster those relationships and give you people across the state and even across the country that you can rely on, you can talk to, you can relate with. And so I love to hear stories of like, yeah, we got together this weekend or see the photos on social media about when everybody gets together. And yeah,
So I
it
don't have
really makes,
Facebook at all, so I have no idea what's going on in that universe.
yeah. No, but you still talk to some of your teammates. So like
Yep.
that's
Yeah,
super
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, I have a
Yeah.
super, super tight circle that I lean on for support really heavily, and Adam is, running around with his hair on fire every day.
I
I
know.
mean, he's the man in my opinion. I told him that the other day. I texted him and I said, "Hey, dude, I wanna be like you when I grow up and don't ever
Yeah.
change." Like, for real,
Yeah.
like, he is
He's doing big things, which
yeah,
is
he
so cool to see?
yep,
Yeah. Cause
him and
how
Jared
else would
and
you have met him?
huh, I wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then the other ones, I could text them or call them and they'd pick up the phone and it'd be like we never skipped a beat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Some pretty amazing memories. I know. That's the hardest part, but still had such an impact. Even though he's gone now, like, still a big part of that team.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
You could argue that he was the mascot.
Man. Really, mascot is the best term. It really is
He
for
like he
real.
was, dude, he was the cheerleader. He was always you know what I mean? He was always
Yeah.
I mean, man.
Yeah. He was loyal to a fault. I'll tell you that one.
You remember what he used to always do? What would he say? You would tell us what time we had to meet in the morning.
Yeah. Hard 7 a.m. or soft 7.
You'd say a hard 8, he's like, "Well, a soft 9:30."
Yeah. He always had a response to that one. I'm like, "Could you just show up on time? That's all I'm asking. Just get there. Bring a friend."
Yeah, so for those who aren't really sure what we're talking about Kyle Patterson. He was the infamous KP.
Yeah.
Amazing
One
dude,
and
and
only.
he was taken from his family and us.
And, unfortunately, he was not the first YF&R I had lost. I lost a YF&R class beforehand. And that's hard, that.
Story to tell. So when we were in DC, and I can't remember, I think we were on the trip and that class was there.
Mm,
And we went to the barbecue place, and I don't
yeah.
know if you wanna mention his name, but he was sitting there, and, he was sitting by himself, he had gotten his food, and I had gotten my food behind him. I didn't know him, he did not know me. at all. We had never
Are you
spoken.
talking about Clay?
Clay.
Clay Humphreys, yeah.
And I sat down and he was just started talking to me about how tough it was in farming. And he's like, man, he's like, I don't know if I can take it anymore. And not to say everybody has that point. That's not to say that it was unique to him, but I think it's a real kind of like an inflection point of, this is there's a lot of really good things that are happening, but it's still hard. Like it's
Yeah.
still real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and
when we lost him, that was I was just like, that was a really wild thing to think about, you know?
yeah, it was. But I think it really makes you, loss makes you appreciate what you have always. And so I think in both of those situations, it kind of gives you the gut check of like, yeah, life is short. You've really got to appreciate these moments and the people that the Lord puts in your life. And I think that's what both of them kind of brought to their individual teams was they each had their own unique place. And when they were gone, it was evident. And it kind of made all of us pause and stop and say, wow, it's
Wasn't
not
it
promised.
Clay? Clay was the one who threw the possum in the room.
Yes, he is. He's
Okay. Him and
100%.
Taylor, it was those
Yes.
2, wasn't it? God,
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely they had their own stories to tell, but yeah.
they were a walking story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they could be
were.
telling you a story and you were in the middle of one at the same time.
Uh-huh. Every day was an adventure with them. Yeah. Yeah, and they were my first class, so I learned a lot from that group. They were very eye-opening.
That was a really diverse group.
It was, and it was hard coming in because were already 3 sessions in when I started, so they had really kind of already bonded and had to, like, start planning conferences and doing things without a lot of staff help, so that was a big challenge for me was learning to, like, how to immerse myself into and help lead them when they kind of were already running at full speed, so that was it's an interesting experience.
What was your favorite YF&R conference that you went to?
Ooh.
Come on, there's only one that you should say, yeah, it's that one.
Which one?
The one after COVID?
Where were we at?
Come on. We were at Marco Island?
We were at Sanibel.
Sanibel, my bad. Sanibel.
Sanibel. Yes. That was a good conference. We did have some good times.
Yeah, we had the bands, it was epic.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Dueling pianos out by the pool.
Belly flop
Yeah,
contest?
that is true. Were you guys the starters of the belly flop contest? Yeah. I know that general counsel spent years after you guys trying to get rid of belly flop contest. Like it took her several years, but
We
she
we
finally
knew that too.
yeah.
Me and Adam, I remember me and Adam sitting there, we're like, "Man, if we just get them to say yes, we're good."
Yeah. Yeah. And she regretted that yes for like 4 years after it. Yeah. Yeah. She just kept saying, "It's a lawsuit nightmare." I'm like, "Nah, it's fine. They'll
It's
sign
just
waivers." Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
yeah, we were aggressive in that campaign.
Yeah. But you guys pushed the envelope on a lot of things, which I think was good. Like, you guys came in and realized from the get go, you had a short amount of time. You got 2 conferences. You could only make a difference in that window. And so I appreciated how hard you guys ran. It was like, we've got to go, go, go. We've got to do it all. And so, from a leadership standpoint, I feel like from the staff perspective, I was exhausted all the time because you guys were just new ideas, new ideas. But from the leadership program piece, it was unbelievable. It was like, all right, what's the next big thing? What can we do? And you guys accomplished huge things. I mean, if you think back on y'all's time, you guys got multiple new Harvest for All awards that we had never done before, the innovation one that came out of COVID. And so, like, there just was so many new things that you guys brought to the forefront of, like, yeah, we can do this. We can make this happen.
So crazy to sit here and listen to you talk about that and think
Yeah.
about us sitting in there and our hair was on fire, right? Like
Yeah.
we could not as fast as we were going, we were burning it at both ends and it
Hmm.
was not fast enough. It was not
No.
enough. That's
Like,
crazy.
literally, I could have had a team of, like, 4 staff to try to keep up with all the ideas that you guys had, all the things you wanted to do, but you guys just were kinda like, "No, it's fine. We got it. We'll do this." Like, "We're gonna go."
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think to be fair, and I'm not saying this with a biased opinion, we did that, but we were very respectful in the way that we did it.
Oh, yeah.
Requires to the
Yeah.
board and things like that,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of details that that don't get you don't really realize and you don't know until you're sitting there. Like you can call previous members or previous members are still on the board or, and they will tell you, I wouldn't say like hints, but just different avenues that you can go that they're not going to openly tell you. And they're not openly telling you because they don't want you to know. It's just,
Right.
you know,
That is one thing that I've always appreciated is I think it's important, especially in an organization that has such a long history, to not say like, "Oh, we've tried that before, it doesn't work." To step back and say like, "Well, give it a shot. Maybe you guys can pull it off in a better manner or make it more successful." And so I've always appreciated that leadership approach that there were people kind of that rallied behind y'all and were like, "Well, let's see what y'all pull off, It's going to work or it's not."
I think they realized that we weren't gonna that was
We're going to
we
listen
weren't
either
gonna
way.
yeah, you're not gonna
Yeah.
swat us away.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Whatever you wanna do.
So tell me more about your time in Cattlewomen's in becoming the president, because that was
Yeah.
after our class, so we weren't always around,
Uh,
right?
yeah, I think it was during y'all's class. I was president 21 of 21 and 22.
Whoa. So,
Yeah,
yes,
so it was during you guys.
for anybody who didn't doubt what we were just saying, that's how hard we were pushing the gas down is I didn't realize that was the same time.
Yeah. So had been a dream of mine since college. Got involved in Gator Collegiate Cattlewomen at UF and knew someday I was going to be president of Florida Cattlewomen's. And when I went out to the Panhandle to teach, I was so far away from everything. It was too time consuming. And when I came back for grad school, moved back to Gainesville, had an opportunity, had a person who had been in my life, as a mentor since I was in middle school. And she was on the executive board, was in line to be president. And she said, would you be interested? Kind of like everybody else, it takes one person to ask, like, hey, do you want to get involved? And man, that was the moment. Like, that was the ticket I was waiting for. And it's a huge commitment. It is a 9-year commitment to run the slate of offices. So you have to climb through every office before you get to president, just to kind of make sure you understand the organization. You need to know how to be treasurer, you need to know how to be secretary and parliamentarian. And so it takes 5 years to become president. Your 6th year, you're president. And then the final 3 years, you stay on as a past president in an advisory role. And so got that opportunity and man, it was everything I thought it would be. Like such an opportunity to work with great leaders, to meet Florida cattlemen and Florida cattlewomen, and then to represent them for a year was phenomenal. And it really worked out because as I transitioned out my last, let's see, I guess this past year, June of 25 was my last convention that I needed to be there. Really worked out for the next opportunities that I had of leaving Florida and exploring new opportunities. It just was amazing. You meet so many cool people. You get to visit some amazing ranches, and who doesn't want to eat steak at every opportunity? I mean, it was absolutely an unbelievable experience. And I think the one thing I think I told your class and probably the class after y'all was I was always very big on if you're going to talk about leadership and teach leadership, you should also be in leadership roles. And for me in that job, it was so important to say, like, guys, I'm also trying to be a leader in agriculture. Like, you're trying to be a leader in Farm Bureau and in this organization, and I'm trying to be a leader in Florida Cattlewomen and Florida Cattlemen. And so for me personally, I felt like that gave me a little more street cred to be like, I'm going to teach you how to be a leader. Look what I'm doing. So that was kind of cool.
Listening to you say that, I'm having flashbacks to all those times, like, I know I was annoying the crap out of you at random hours. "Hey, hey, hey,
What do you
Ryan,
think about this? What if
Ryan,
we tried this?
Ryan." I'm just sitting here thinking in my head, I'm like, "Man, we might have been obnoxious at times."
Not at all. You
So
know what? I would take obnoxious and excited over just bare minimum effort?
and
People that are just kinda
that's
like,
why it worked, though.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But
Y'all
to
were definitely memorable.
do what?
Y'all were memorable.
Jeez. I paid it great.
That's right.
Our slogan. So, listen to you talk about the Cattlewomen's thing and the path that you have to go on totally makes sense why it's such a good organization and it's maintained the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every old family that I was ever around, especially in South Florida, same thing. You're more than welcome to be a part of the family company. We would love to have you, but you're going to do real estate. You're going to work in the back of the house. You're going to sweep the floors. You're going to answer the phones. You're going to go to the meetings. You're going to work in timber. You're going to work, you drive a tractor, and you're going
Yeah.
to do that for 7 years. And then at the end of the 7 years, if you've done all that, then we'll let you come to the meetings.
Right.
And then you can
But
sit in the
think
meetings for 4 years, and
right.
then we're gonna vote on whether or not you get a share. But I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, that's the only
Yeah.
way that they protect it, you know?
But it's so important. Like, you think about how much things have changed nowadays, and it's because the world moves so fast. There really is a lot of logic behind working your way through the steps. Because it's one thing to be the CEO of the company, but if you don't understand every position that works in order to make that company successful, how do you lead those people? Like that, it just, I really truly believe it's so important. And I know it's not fun. No young person wants to start, as the dust sweeper in the shop. But I think it teaches you so much humility, and it really makes you value the people that are a part of that organization. Like, I had a mentor tell me, you should treat the janitor and the CEO with the same level of respect. Like, because without that person, like, nobody's taking out the trash, nobody's doing the little things that go unnoticed for the CEO to walk into a boardroom and run the organization. And like, yeah, I just think that's so valuable.
In that same vein, how somebody treats those people is a reflection of their life,
Oh, yeah.
period.
Yeah. And character. Yeah.
Yep. And to your point about that, I really believe whatever you are, be a good one. Is like
Yeah.
it's one of the most solid. I mean, it's so simple, so annoyingly said all the time, but it's like
Yeah.
if you're sweeping the floors, if you're the best floor sweeper, somebody's gonna go, "That's a good floor sweeper. I want him to sweep
Yep.
my floors."
Exactly. Or we're gonna move him on to do something else. Because if you put that much attention to detail into a task as simple as sweeping the floor, imagine what you'll do with other responsibilities. I laugh because that saying, like, whatever you are, be a good one. I have it framed in my apartment.
It's
Like
so true.
that.
I
I
was
love it. Yeah.
listen, I am I'm a stable person, but I do have conversations with myself sometimes. And I was having this conversation today. I was like, you know what? I was like, there's a lot of really evil people in the world today doing a
Yeah.
lot of bad things. Whatever you are, be a good one. It's just not gonna last as long if you're doing bad stuff.
Absolutely. No, you're right. It's so simple, but it's so true. Yeah. I love it.
And that's really cool. I didn't realize it was 9 years for
Yeah.
the same for cattlemen's too.
Yeah. They require you to work up the slate. So once you get in, it's, you're in and you can climb unless something crazy happens. But yeah, it's so important though when you look at those organizations, the history and kind of the legacies that it's built, you can really see how valuable moving up the ranks before you become president is. It also prepares you for success cuz it lets you start to notice like, oh, when it's my year, I need to think about this, in advance, or I need to be prepared. And yeah, it's just super helpful to kind of go through all of the offices before you become the president.
What's your favorite part of that? That's a long time, so that's kinda tough.
It is. I think my favorite part of just the entire Cattle Women's Executive Board was meeting women in the cattle industry and hearing their stories. Like, you had people who, they're like, my husband's the rancher, like, I'm just the spouse. And it's like, but you also play an important role. Like, you're out there writing down ear tag numbers and, matching calves to cows. And then you talk to other women who they started the cattle operation. Like, they're the rancher in the family. The husband works somewhere else. And so, like, it's just a fun gamut of people and their involvement. But the one thing they all have in common is the passion for it. Like, you just see them light up when they talk about it. And that was probably throughout the 9 years, like, the women that I met, not only in Florida, but across the country, just their stories. Like, there's a ton of people I still am in communication with, really building those relationships and kind of seeing the triumphs that they have, that it's nice to have those connections.
Yeah, It is wild how small the agriculture world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what came to mind when you said that is just networking and, meeting people. Heck, we had who's the guy from California? What was his name?
Oh, yeah. The farmer. What was his name? I don't know. Like, he was a perfect example because you guys met him at an American Farm Bureau conference. He started coming to Florida Farm Bureau conferences from
And then he
California.
started getting other people to come to
Yeah.
our conferences.
Not only that, he was at like some of the YF&R weddings. Like he became an unofficial Florida member and he never even lived in Florida.
No.
Like how cool was that, just to kind of build those relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was crazy too because where was the first time we really hung out with him? Was it in Milwaukee?
Yeah. Yeah. That's where y'all first met him. I know. Seems like a lifetime ago.
Trip.
That's also,
Trip. Hey,
I'm
hey,
pretty
hey,
sure.
let's just it was a good
No,
trip. We all had activities that we participated in.
no, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's where the Ma thing came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where the nickname originated.
Yes, so that's a good point. So we kind of do need to elaborate on that. That is why I had the outburst at the beginning of the episode and I
Yes.
said Ma. It's because Jared started yelling that in Milwaukee.
So lovingly named me, dubbed me the YF&R Ma with that very distinct northern accent. And I actually had like a couple classes stick to that. Like
Really?
you guys started it. And then I think because you and Jared were around the other classes, they also picked up on that. Yeah. Yeah. Never outgrew that one. Had to leave the job to get away from it.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
man, reminiscing on this is
I know.
pretty cool. That was a great
Yeah,
trip.
it was. Some good experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I was thinking is I remember when we first met him, it was instantaneous. He was on our team
Yeah,
like that night.
yeah.
Like, what'd you say to my friends? Like, listen, dude, calm down. We're about to leave.
Some good people. We've met some amazing people. Very agriculture. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your biggest takeaway from your time in YF?
I think my biggest takeaway from YF&R is anybody can be a leader. I think watching, we've talked about you, but watching each of the classes, there was always one or two people that you'd see from the start who they were when they started the class and who they were when they graduated. Very different, night and day, whether it was like public speaking or just getting more involved in their local board. Like, think of the people that were just kind of like showed up to a YF&R conference. They're part of the leadership group, and 2 years later, they become president of their Farm Bureau board. Like they really, I think watching people kind of try new things and take on new tasks was super neat. But yeah, just being able to sit back and see people realize like I can do this, I can become a board member or public speak on a stage in front of hundreds of people. Like I can do this.
You know, I think we could both say definitely mine, and I'm sure yours too. It's really hard to sit here and think about what my life would be like if I hadn't made the decision to do that.
I know.
That's wild. That is,
Yeah, it
I mean,
is.
complete alternate.
Totally different track. Yeah.
Yeah, completely changed everything in the best way.
Yeah, absolutely. Really believe that everything happens for a reason. So I think this is just one example of a program that really gives people that opportunity. But I mean, if you think back, like we tell you guys at the very beginning, you get out of this program what you put into it. And if you're going to show up and you're going to work hard and you're going to put yourself in those uncomfortable zones, you're going to be a better you afterwards. And if you're just going to show up and kind of sit in the back and not participate, like you get out of it what you put into it. And I think that's one of the best things about the program.
One thing that Jared and I still talk about to this day, in but we realized towards the end, especially after the COVID and the conference and everything, was when you're doing something great, it never, ever, ever, ever feels like it's great when you're doing it. It is awful. You're tired, you're frustrated. Is this going to work? Is it not going to work? This sucks. Why don't we have it? You know what I mean? And then from the outside perspective, like we realized this after the conference, right? Because we were just like, this is free. We're freaking out. And we did it. And we realized afterwards because everybody said how much they enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Wow, we were really, really super concerned and stressed
Yeah.
out, and the whole time everybody was just loving it. So
Yeah.
we realized that, like, you could be sitting there, you're doing something great, and you're just in the middle of the fishbowl of everything that's going on, right?
Yeah.
And then you get out of it, everybody's like, "Oh, it's a great job," and you're like, "That was rough."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Glad you had a good time because we're exhausted.
Yeah, but it was just, a really big perspective shift to realize that if you're committed to something and you're fully invested in it, there's a really high chance that if you're having a hard time, it's just because you're in the middle of doing good stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think one of the things that I learned through each class, especially around this topic that you're talking about, is I learned how important it was to stop and recognize the wins. It's so easy when you get through something, anything big, you kind of sit down afterwards and you're like, oh, we could do this better. Oh, we could do this. Like, I started to really put emphasis with the leadership teams and with staff of saying, like, guys, good job, like, we killed this. Like, let's celebrate the win for a few minutes before we jump into the how do we improve it. And that's why thank you notes became so important to me. Writing to the team, writing to the staff, like that was my way of sitting in that moment and celebrating the win of like, thank you for making this epic. We can talk about next week how to make next year better, but, like, in this moment, especially with handwritten notes, because you can't do those fast, like, it really forced me to stay in the present mind of, "Oh, man, what we did was epic." Like, that was so worth it.
That was foundational.
Yeah.
The thank you cards
Yeah.
was,
It was fun.
yeah,
It's such a huge part of, I think, the person that I have become because I see how much of an impact they make. And so now, like, I try very hard to be cognizant of, they take time, but they're such a rare thing. Like, people don't write handwritten notes anymore. And so I try so hard to be like, even the little things, like, just stop, write a quick note, drop it off to them, put it in the mail. They just, who doesn't like receiving a handwritten note? It just makes you warm and fuzzy.
everybody loves it. Well, it's because it's a
Yeah.
token of somebody's time and effort.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
It's very sincere.
Yeah.
So I think to be fair in talking about this and then the context of what we're talking about right now, I think it's really important that we address it. This sounds like we did all these great things and they worked out really well. But at the time, like there were haters. There were people who doubted us, people who didn't think it was going to work, people
Yeah.
who thought the program was imploding. I mean, let's just really air that out. It really forced all of us to like fully intertwine with each other. Back to what we were talking about earlier, we fight like cats and dogs in a room, but if you come in the room and pick a fight, that's not you're gonna be on the receiving end of it. And
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of that class too. I don't know, you tell me if I'm off the mark, but there
No.
was a lot of that. And I think that by the end of it, I know I was really like fully committed to telling everybody that you were doing the right thing and they needed to get off your back because I mean, look, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like it was a lot of it really wasn't necessary. And it gets
Yeah.
into farm bureau politics and those kind of things which just aren't necessary. And
Yeah. No, and I think that's one of the things that staff position, especially, and a lot of positions in Farm Bureau, you're in a weird spot because you naturally have loyalty to the employer and to the organization that you work for. But when you deal with volunteer members, you also have loyalty to the relationships that you build with those members. And, if people can't tell by us reminiscing on our stories, like I'm not during my time there as staff, like I wasn't on the team, but I really did kind of become a part of the family. It was hard because I became the ma that had to tell you like, no guys, we can't do this, or like let's look at how we do this in a
and to be
safer
clear,
or
we
more
were
budget.
stomping our feet.
Yeah. Yeah, there were definitely tantrums that were thrown, but I will say I always felt like at the end of the day, you guys had my back on things that, justified or not, things that came up, things that became an issue. It's so important to build those relationships because you guys would ultimately come together and be like you said, like, no, 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 no. We can give her a hard time, but she's busting her butt. She's doing all the things that we keep throwing at her. We're going to support her and back her on those things. And yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn. Like, I don't know if it's like that in other jobs because Farm Bureau is such an interesting dynamic when you have volunteers and you have staff. But at the end of the day, the organization can't run without volunteer members. Like, it's impossible. 40 to 50 staff cannot do what the 1,000 plus membership can do. And so, um, yeah, I think that's why when I think back on the memories, like the classes start to merge for me because you guys did become like family. And, each scenario is a little different, but there was overlap. And so I kind of look back and I think of the friendships that I have now because of the opportunity I got to work with you guys and just watch you all grow, but also act like hooligans and all the
The
good
above. Yeah,
things.
all the above. No, seriously, it's really cool to think back on those things and share on this podcast, the behind the scenes because I mean, there's other classes don't really get to hear these stories. I mean, this is stuff that's coming just from being in there. What class did you see the most progress in? It's a really random question.
It is. I think that's hard to say. I think they all had progress in their own way. I think each individual person kind of progressed differently. And as a class, like I always said this, each class develops its own personality. Like you can just see how that kind of becomes, who kind of comes to the forefront as the leaders of it, who, are your workhorses that are kind of in the back and they just are there doing the things. And I think each class had its own growth points. But I think at the end of the day, the one thing that we always saw was they understood Farm Bureau better. They had a passion for it. And I think where some of the struggles come in is like, I think people want so much to stay so involved in Farm Bureau. I mean, when you look at it, like how many current board members have come through the YF&R leadership program? How many presidents have we had that came through YF&R and got their start there? Like, I think when you get out of the leadership program, one of the big challenges your classes talked about, many classes have talked about, is it's hard to go back to the county level and get involved because there's no room for them yet. It takes them a few years before they find a seat on the board or they climb their way to state board. And so I think that's probably a big challenge that each class kind of goes through is figuring out how do I find my niche now? Where do I go from here? And I think each class kind of did it differently. Like some of them would go on to AFBF. Some of them would easily go back to their counties and get involved. Some of them, became county YF&R chairs for longer than they probably wanted to be. But I think each class had their own moments of like, this was a win for us. This was growth. So it's hard to say like which one did it best. I think it's easy to lean towards y'all's class because you did have the 3-year
I
experience,
was just it's not to be unfair to
Yeah,
anyone else. It genuinely was just an entirely different deal.
yeah. It really was. Like, y'all's class, you pushed the boundaries, but you also had so many hurdles thrown at y'all that none of the other classes before or even after have had to experience. So, I think that's why you guys were so unique in what you all went through together.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Jason Davison because I remember after that conference, Jade out.
Yeah. Yeah, you
After that
guys
conference, he did come up to us and he was like, "We have no idea how y'all pulled that off, but that
Right.
was unbelievable."
Yeah. Well, and just thinking about like back to your question about milestones, y'all's class was the one that had a virtual conference. You guys and the women's committee managed to get through not only canceling an in-person conference, but then trying to figure out like in a world where everything is shut down and you can't be together, like pulling off a virtual conference, which we had never done. We were all still learning how to use Zoom. And so I think that's probably one of the big milestones too for me to look back and be like, huh, that was a moment where we're in the middle of it, not thinking this is going to happen. And then we get out on the outside of it, and everybody was like, that was kind of a neat experience. Like, should we keep doing that? And we're like, no, we're getting back to in person.
A freak out
Yes. Oh my
before that.
gosh.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
DEFCON 11.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was a
give it
whole new
color.
world.
You have like you said, we're all like Zoom was a new thing.
Yeah.
It was a new thing,
Yeah.
right? This was
Yeah.
people have to understand when they're hearing this 10 years from now that that's kind of why
Yeah.
Zoom became a thing was because of that time period.
Right?
And you're dealing with farming people, so like we're not on a computer
Right.
all the time.
And that's thinking about, like, the people that we had speaking, like, do you have good enough internet? We pre-recorded the cooking demos. We even mailed out aprons. Like, there were just so many pieces to that we had never done before. Virtual farm tours. You remember that?
It was
Like,
an
we
insanely
yeah.
surreal experience. It was I almost have this, like, this memory of just being in my kitchen and just taking a
Yeah.
15-minute break, and I'm like, "What is happening?"
Right. I know. We had, like, set up the command center in the boardroom. Like, I feel like I didn't leave that boardroom for 5 days straight. I was there longer than a normal conference, but yeah, it's amazing to think back on that.
Yeah, that is yeah. It's the
Eh,
whole thing. It's just so wild, like, how much of a different experience it was.
I know. Yeah, and then to come back together and be like, "We're gonna do whatever it takes to be in person the next year and pull off Sanibel." I mean,
Yeah, and everybody was like,
yeah,
"Yeah, okay."
right? We're like, "No, no, it's happening. Like, come next July, we will be in person." Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, Reed Harrington, Houghton, something, and then there was
Hot.
another kid. What? Something like that, and there was another guy.
Anyways, they were killer.
Yeah, they were good.
Shout out to Zeb Luster for
Right?
doing that.
And Jared Player for
Yeah,
bringing that
hold on.
college
Let's talk about
connection.
this for a minute, and let's really share this entire story about what we talked about stomping our feet earlier.
Yeah.
So, for the people listening, when we say that we meant business, I
Mhm.
personally called John Maxwell and talked to his events coordinator and was like, "Hey, man, we want you to do our conference." That's where our
Yeah.
head was.
Right.
Jared and I were
Yeah.
hell bent on working with Zeb to get Luke Combs.
Yes, I remember that.
Like we were,
Yeah,
and this was when Luke Combs was
early.
exploding.
Yeah, but he was already gonna be in South Florida at a bar, and so it actually wasn't as unreasonable as it sounds. Like, there was a time where, like, it was a real
Yeah.
possibility
But
to
when
have
we
Luke
sat
Combs
down
at
at
the
the state
conference.
board meeting and we like, "Who's your
Yeah,
entertainment gonna be?" And they're like, "Luke Combs." They were like, "Oh,
yeah,
spit out their water."
right? But I think that's what was so cool is, like, you guys had no qualms about, "We're going to
Nope.
the top."
Yep.
Like, we want the highest, most famous people, and that's what made it exciting because it was like, "Good lord, they're swinging past the fences on
Yeah,
this stuff."
listen, Jared is my best friend,
Yeah.
hardcore. He's like, "Listen," he's like, "I have a suggestion." I'm like, "Why are you being weird, man?"
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
he's like, "I just I it's an idea and I need you to be open."
Right.
Okay. Like, who are you like trying to get? MC
Yeah.
Hammer? What are you doing? He goes, "Luke Combs." And I started laughing. And he looks at me and he goes,
Right.
"No, I'm serious." I was like,
Right.
"All right, dude, let's do it."
Yeah.
Because I remember
That's
so to give people context, like we break out into teams, right? So each
yeah.
team has a task, and their
Mhm.
task is a part of the conference. There's people who do the breakout sessions. There's people who do the event. There's all these different things. So when I'm saying that Jared and I are having this conversation, we
Yeah.
have to go back in front of our raucous group and get
Right.
them to take us seriously.
Yeah.
For real, Kyle was like, "Guys."
Yeah. I was like, "I need to be the voice of reason here, and that's not normal for me." Yeah.
So we have to do that, and then we have to put all that together, and of
Yeah.
course, go through you and sit at the state board meeting and be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we need some money, please."
Yeah. We need a lot of money.
Yeah,
Yeah. But we can pull this off.
yeah. So when we talk about these stories with the conferences and the team groups, I mean, it is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a huge lift, but and I think you've said it, like, the accomplishment you feel afterwards is second to none. You kinda look back and you're like, "We did this." Your team came together, you brought something from an idea to life, and it has impacted 3 to 500 YF&Rs from across the state. You know, how many times did you guys think I was at a YF&R conference when I decided I wanted to be on the leadership team? And then how many people from that conference that you all planned came behind you and said, I'm going to be on the leadership group one day? It's just a waterfall effect.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember after the COVID thing in the conference, I think we were when we were doing the recap,
Mhm.
we were talking about what you were just mentioning, how what are the effects of that gonna be? Because naturally, we just pulled that off and we couldn't marinate in that at all. You
No.
know, we were just
Well,
like
you say
so you understand, we're sitting in the conference room of the hotel where the conference was, and we just pulled off this amazing event, and we're not satisfied.
no, not at all.
But I remember having the conversation with the group as a president and telling them that the reality is we will not see the payoff.
Yeah. No.
And that
No, that was the thing, is like it's the long game. You know, the impacts that you all had were going to show up 4 and 6 years down the road. And I think they did. I think if you talk to leadership members that were at that conference that came on classes after you guys, they would say like, yeah, that was my turning point. That's when I knew I wanted to apply.
I mean, the belly flop contest was a definite turn.
It was. It yeah, changed many lives.
I don't think that we knew it was gonna be that big of a deal.
I think you could have. Like,
It
could
was
you
we were
imagine
halfway.
the added pressure of being like, we know how epic this is gonna be? Like, I think that's what made it even better, was everybody kind of standing around going, did we really just pull that off?
Well, the oversight was even as us being the younger generation of men, like, we totally missed the mark of understanding the testosterone level when you get grown men in a contest around a pool, right? Like, I
Right.
we were
Yes.
sitting there, we're like, "Oh, man, they're for real."
Yeah. It was hardcore.
Yeah.
There were costumes
Yes.
involved
Yeah.
at some point. Like, yeah, this wasn't your average belly flop.
No.
And not only that, but you had the added layer of like legality, but also the hotel. You know, if somebody slips on the pool deck, if
Yeah, so
somebody
we yeah.
lands wrong in the pool.
We
Yeah.
had to convince the board that this was an okay idea, and they
Yeah.
definitely laughed at us because
Yeah.
they've been in their fair share of belly flop contests, as we all have as farm kids. So we convinced them, right? And then we had kinda have to, Stacy, bless her heart, it's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
great, now you guys are my problem."
Right.
So then you have to
Yeah.
go with Stacy, you probably have more insight on this than anybody, but you have to convince the hotel that this is
Yeah.
a great idea.
Right. Which is, no business wants to agree to allowing
Yeah.
young people to run across a slippery pool deck and dive, belly first into a pool that's probably not deep enough to start with.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
that's the pool is their kind of a focal point of any resort,
Right.
so just
Yeah.
let us take it over for 3 hours.
Just let it be pure chaos. But even like the amount of people at the hotel not associated with the conference that gathered to watch the circus that ensued
That's what I mean, we
was,
totally oversight, like, we
oh, yeah.
did not talk that out.
No. Didn't even factor it in the planning, but yeah, the amount of people that like it became the social event of the evening, couldn't have predicted that at all.
I did not see the costumes coming, that was for sure.
Yeah, that one
Didn't we use that to
was.
fundraise too? Didn't we raise money doing that?
Yeah, we did. We used the money as our philanthropy. So that's the other thing, is like it wasn't just pure chaos. Like we tied it to a purpose and did good things with it.
I think Kyle was the voice of reason there again.
He was, yeah, because
Because
I'm pretty
we were
sure.
pumped, we were like, "Yes, we got the green light for the
Yeah,
belly flop," and he's like, "Okay, guys."
right. How do we make this so it makes sense? And yeah, I mean, Kyle brought us back down to earth, made it for a good cause. So
Yeah,
it
we were
was
all
worth
like, "Oh,
it.
yeah, good idea."
Yeah. We should make this a positive experience, you know? Yeah. Man, those are good times.
Yeah. So, what was it like growing up around the strawberry fields and everything in Plain City? Complete pivot here.
Love it. It really impacts who I am on a lot of things. Fall is my favorite season. And if you really dig down deep, it's because August, starting off fall, they're getting ready for the fields, cutting the cover crop, they're bedding the rows and putting the plastic in. Around Thanksgiving time, first set of berries are being picked. And so there's so much of growing up in the seasonality of such a huge industry in that community that really has kind of shaped who I am as a person, like, strawberry decorations in my life and in my house and things like that. But as you could imagine, it was like any other small community. Everything revolved around the strawberry industry and the seasons, the strawberry festival coming to a conclusion. Like, it was such a fun time of year because that's where we got to show our animals. That's, celebrating the end of harvest, like the season coming to a close. And it's definitely, I mean, since I was 2, I wanted to be a strawberry farmer. The Lord had other plans for me, but it's it's such a huge piece of who I am, and I love going home. I love seeing the strawberries in the ground and the smell of it in the air, and it's such a big part of that community that I don't think any place will ever be home without that strawberry feel to it.
It is a sight to I mean, it's always been a sight to behold, but as encroachment has come around those farms,
Yeah.
I mean, it is you're on a 6-lane highway going under an
Yeah.
overpass and boom, strawberry fields.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's basically Tampa now.
It is. So and it's weird for me. I talk to people like Marshall Sewell, him and I are from the same town, and we catch up every so often about what our hometown is like now. And it has changed. I mean, urban encroachment, things are growing, houses, people are moving to town. But I think why I have such a unique experience, like I went home for Christmas and got to be home for a week. And it's so different for me because where my parents' home is, where I grew up, where, I lived my entire life, we bought the original homestead of the strawberry farm. And so my neighbor purchased the strawberry farm. So our home is surrounded by strawberry fields. There's a strawberry packing house right there. Like, so that piece of what is so memorable to my childhood experience in my home, it hasn't changed at all. It's 400 acres of strawberry farms. There's no new developments put in. And so for me, when I go back to that little niche, it hasn't changed, and I'm so grateful for the farmer next door and for the people in our community that are still farming, multi-generational, and the families have taken it over so that they didn't sell out. They didn't put houses on it because I think that would make it hard to go back home and not have the big open spaces of just miles and miles of strawberry fields. So that's important for me, at least when I go home.
Good. No, that's good to hear. I always wondered that, because when I just passing through and I'm from a different
Yeah.
grown up in a different area in Pasco, Hernando, I always wondered what that was like because I knew it had to be really different, kinda had to be a whole its own deal because, we all know small towns are that way, but, you guys were there and kinda things built around
Around
you, but the infrastructure and everything is all still there.
Yeah, it is. Interesting because when I especially, like, I think that's why I always tell people, like, Dover is the true winter strawberry capital. Like, they per capita still have the most acres
Do they?
of strawberry farms compared to Plant City. But when you travel, like, those farms that were in Plant City where now, neighborhoods and homes are on, they've moved south on 39. So, like, as you're going towards Duet and Wauchula, you're seeing more of those strawberry farms because that old mining land is still available. And so it's interesting how much of the strawberry production is shifting south to the Waimama area, the Duet, the Wauchula, and all of that. So that's kind of an interesting piece of encroachment is I'm grateful that it hasn't fully disappeared. It's just kind of shifted outside of town a little bit to make things, easier, less congestion, less traffic. And so
You're
it's
putting on old
important to
citrus
still see
land too,
that.
huh?
Yeah, they are. They've so many of the old citrus groves were impacted by greening that a lot of those have converted over to strawberry and vegetable production. And so that's good to see. Like I hate to see some of that old Florida agriculture history changing, but I appreciate that it's still in agriculture and it's not going to the developments.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to our state for the amount of conservation that they do with the
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money that gets getting thrown around for land and tourism and all the above is I had a farmer tell me in where is they from? Why can't I think of it? It's in Levy County.
Well, there's only so many towns in Levy.
Fair point. Yes, I believe it's Williston. But I was having a serious conversation with them at their barn, and uh I had just gone through, let's call it an exchange of information with people who did not want it to be farmland anymore. And I was having a conversation with them because we had kind of beat that problem because it was a legit problem. I mean,
Yeah.
the dude had resources and he was
Mhm.
gonna make it a problem. And the
Yeah.
farmer said money always wins. And like it knocked the breath right out of me. And it made
Yeah.
me mad. It made me
Yeah.
sad, and it gave me a whole new insight into, better. I mean, my brain is always all over the place. And I thought about
Yeah.
that and I'm like, that's crazy that an older generation has that perspective.
Yeah.
And the newer
Yeah, I mean,
generation is kind of like, no, we don't want that.
right. But it's different because you think about that older generation and they're like, we have worked our entire lives. We're tired. And they don't always have somebody in the next generation willing to take it over. I mean, you and I have had that conversation about how often do we see a young person who wants to be in agriculture so bad they want to farm, but they don't have the resources. They don't have the capital or the land or the opportunities. And you've got people who've watched their parents and their grandparents work so hard and farm, and they're like, I can do something way less work, make way more money. I don't want to do this. So what's that farmer supposed to do? He does the best thing he can for the future of his family and he sells it for the money, but you can't undo that. Like, once those homes are built, they're not gonna tear them back down to turn it into farmland, and that's what's so hard and disheartening. You mentioned, like, how much the state is really doing to put things into conservation easements and protect that land. One of the things that I don't think most people realize is how diverse and economically viable Florida's agriculture industry is. I mean, when COVID happened, tourism plummeted. What carried the state through from an economic standpoint was agriculture. And in a normal year, agriculture from an economic viability point is number two to tourism. Like, that's what so many people who are not from Florida, they're so surprised to be like, what do you mean Florida's an ag state? Like, what do you mean they have the largest cow calf and they have 300 different commodities produced? Like, agriculture is so important to Florida's history and to their future that it's important to have people like you and people in politics who want to stand up and say, we're going to do everything we can to protect it because whether outsiders know it or not, it's super, super important for Florida's future.
Yeah, I put a post on X today and I tagged Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn and Chris Williamson. I was texting an old friend of mine from college, Eric Smith, and
Yeah.
he's like, "No, you gotta tag his assistant Jamie." I was like, "Oh, good point. You got to get the assistant."
There you go. Let me know how that works out.
Dude, I'm going all the way to the top.
I know. I mean, Luke Combs, Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
don't stop.
But no, I mean, to your point, that's what I want to do is I want to, I have been truly, truly blessed in the best way possible. Like I have the photos and the history and the stories and like all that different things. And I'm just one of many, but not a lot of people have the time or the resources or want to do a podcast or know how to do it. So
Yeah. Well, and I think that's such a good point because think about, you started your podcast, but how long did you mull on this idea
cool.
before you ever officially got it
Probably
off the
5 years.
ground? Yeah. I mean, you talked about this for a while. And so there's so much that you had to learn. You had to talk to people, you had to find different support systems, and then just trying to go through the efforts of the conversation, the editing, getting it posted. Like, it's taken you a long time to get here, but how cool is that? Like, you brought this dream to a reality.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I
Yeah.
said, I mean, in all seriousness, it wouldn't have happened without you and the program. I mean, it really wouldn't have. I mean, that's 100% truth. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
to your point, when I went to Casey, and she was just starting her business of doing what she does now, podcasting and coaching and different things. And we had this phone call, and she's asking me these questions, and I'm rifling off answers. And she's like, "You really want to do this, don't you?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "When I talk to people, it's like they don't even have a name." I was like, "Oh,
You're like, "No,
okay."
I've had a name for years, like, I'm
Yeah,
ready."
I had
Yeah.
everything planned out. I was like, "This is what this gonna be." So this just made I just remembered this. Remember the letter that we wrote?
Yes. Yeah.
So at the in my letter, I wrote, "Work hard, be honest, speak proudly." That's where the motto for my podcast came from.
Really?
Swear.
Okay, so you've got to give context. So, at the start of your 2-year program, I would make everybody write a letter to yourself in 2 years. So, you would not get the letter back until you graduated from the leadership program. And that is actually one of my favorite things. I did it as a FFA, advisor and ag teacher, and I carried it over to the YF&R program because I just think it's so valuable to have something that, like, all right, this is day one. What do I expect? Who do I hope to be in 2 years? What do I want out of the program? And then 2 years later, you're looking back at this letter you wrote on day one. And how cool is that? That you're like, I got my podcast, tag
So
from
I'm
this
I'm
letter.
I'm pulling out my phone because I wanna read it if I can
Yeah.
find it. But so I sent it to Casey, and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "I don't really know." I was like, "I don't know why, but I just think that I wanna tie this letter into the podcast. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it."
Yeah.
And I sent it to her, and she read it, and, of course, I'm not gonna be able to find it now. That's how that came about. Here, I found it. Alright, so I'm gonna read it. I'll read it. So it says, "Dear hero, everything you do matters to everyone. Every day is your God-given opportunity to change the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. As a YF&R, your days matter to Florida agriculture and what it will be for your children and their children. We are changing the world one mind at a time. It may take time, all lasting changes do. Remember, these days matter more to those who believe in you than you will ever know. Don't let them down. They don't know it, but they are counting on you."
See, that's amazing.
Yeah, dude, it's like one of my favorite things I ever did in my whole life. For real.
I know. But I love how serious you took it. Like, that goes back to the whole
Yeah.
you get
That
out of
is
this what you put into it.
I'm working on that.
Yeah. I love it. And I love that you still have it. Like, that's so impactful.
Yeah. I'm a you could argue I'm a hoarder when it comes to things like that.
Nah. You're wiser than your years.
Well, it was so crazy. I remember when you gave me the envelope and I have no idea what I wrote.
Yeah.
And I opened it and I started crying, man. I was crying.
Aw. Yeah.
I was like, "This is crazy."
Yeah.
Like that was
But I do remember you telling, like, the next class, like, "Guys, this letter, it's more important than you realize. Like, take it serious. You're gonna appreciate it in 2 years when you get it on graduation night." Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not gonna remember what you wrote, and you're gonna
No.
get the letter, and you're gonna go, "Oh my god, what did I write?" And you're gonna open
Right.
you're gonna be floored.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I'm
Is that
glad
a
you
cool
still have
story?
it.
Yeah. Oh, that was really cool. Yeah, and it was just by happenstance too. Like, I just happened to see
Yeah.
her letter, and she sent that back to me. It was like, "This should be your slogan."
Ah, that's awesome. See, look where this has gotten you. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. I know.
It's crazy
Yeah,
to
I
think
hope
what
you're
everybody's
proud.
doing too. Well, I
Yeah.
thank you, sincerely. I
Yes.
know I probably say
Yeah.
thank you all the time, but I
No.
really mean it.
You should be.
It's a
Yeah.
game changer. And
I
it's
know.
wild to think about where people are. I mean, I don't have social media. I mean, I have certain things, but it's only for this, so I'm not, kinda in and out. I hit it.
Mm.
And I can't imagine what he has going on. Because I just talk to him as like a friend, right? Like I call him like, "Hey man, what's going on? How are you doing?" So I can't even imagine what he has going on positively. I mean, that is a self-built he's working on building an empire.
Yeah. Which is cool though. I mean, you've got those connections to kind of like step back and be like, these are people that are like family and friends, and to be able to cheer them on and watch the big things they do. I mean, I look at it all the time and I'm kind of inspired to be like, I knew them from where they were, and now to see where they've gotten, like, that's amazing. Just to be a small part of that for a little while, you know?
Well, I think you're being modest, but that's fair.
Yeah.
No, it's wild to think that I mean, Adam started out on his own when he was, what,
Yeah.
16? Lance
Yeah.
started out when he was, like, 14. maybe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And to see where they've gotten and where they've gone, like, yeah. Well, and I think the big thing too is I think as the person in charge of the leadership programs, I think it's lost on people how much each class impacted me. Everybody thinks like, well, I'm running the program and so my job is to impact you guys. And absolutely that's important. But each class had such an impact on me and I feel like made me a better person in a different way that it is kind of cool to look across social media and when I run into people back home and just see the amazing things that people are doing. Like, it does make me feel like a proud little mom to be like,
I
"Oh,
mean, you should. I mean, it's legit.
yeah,
I
like,
mean, we made the nickname in jest, but it's pretty true, right? Like at the end
yeah,
of the day, you were kind of like you were mom because we were out of hand to
you
some
guys
point.
needed
Yep,
guidance."
we needed
Yeah,
guidance. Some days more
yeah.
than others.
It's some good memories. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes.
Did we make it? We got a podcast? Love
So,
it.
well, thank you for taking the time
Yeah.
to be on here.
Thanks for running me down and not giving up on me. I feel like
It
this
goes
took
both ways.
months.
It goes
Yeah,
both ways. There's people that try like
yeah.
when we're trying to schedule it, like with Bobby, it took us 2.5 months to
Gosh. Yeah, I
so,
feel that.
um,
Well, good.
no, we'll do it again soon.
Yeah.
So,
And let me know if you're up in DC. Yeah. And if you need anything, just holler.
okay.
All
Thank
right,
you.
buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for connecting our fields to your forks with us today on Farmstrong. Every day is your God given opportunity to change the world. So be the change that you want to see in the world. Share your questions and guest suggestions at farmstrongpodcast@gmail.com. Special thank you to Casey Brown of Teal Hat Communications for producing this podcast. More importantly, thank you for investing your time in this podcast and taking the time to connect to your agricultural industry. This is the Farmstrong Podcast. Work hard, be honest, speak proudly.